Acid reflux is very, very common. It causes heartburn, but not only that, it can even lead to esophagus cancer.
But don't lose heart. There are great ways of treating it, including ways without medicine.
All right, so we talked about acid reflux and heartburn. How would you define acid reflux?
Food should go down one way and not come back up. Yes. And reflux is when that food moves from the stomach back up into the esophagus. You have some issue with the lower esophageal sphincter that holds that acid in. Mm-hmm.
There are different things that we can do to treat it. I think we talked about some natural ways and some non-medication ways, but let's talk about the medicines first, because there's a whole host of them, and they can be anything from short-term to long-term type things. Say I wake up in the middle of the night with heartburn. What should I do about that?
Grab your Mylanta, your Tums, your antacids. They're the quickest.
They actually neutralize the acid right there. If you have an acid and a base and you put them together, they will neutralize each other.
They're the quickest, but they're not the most effective. My next go-to would be H2 blockers, like Pepsid or Zantac. And then we have proton pump inhibitors.
Oh, yes.
Those would be things like
Prilosec, Nexium, Protonix.
Prevacid.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them out there.
Very good medicine. But not everybody gets treatment, which is what led to this new class of medicine that's out that works on potassium. I've been very impressed. I haven't used a lot of it just because the PPIs work so well. But
more to come with the newer class.
All right, so we've got some really good medicines to treat reflux. But let's talk about the non-medication things, the things that should be doing. But to do that, I think we should talk about triggers of reflux, because if we can avoid the triggers, that is going to be paramount in the treatment. You've had reflux before, right?
Oh, Dr. Miles. Yes, okay, he's calling me out. I did.
Okay, we'll talk about what you did for it later, but were there some triggers that you noticed?
Bedtime.
Going to sleep.
Going to sleep, lying down.
I've had some foods over the years. I don't get a lot of acid reflux, but occasionally over the years I have had some. And for me, carbonation, big one. Mm-hmm. And then tomato products like a pizza. So if you combine pizza and carbonation, like a soft drink or a beer or something like that, for me, that was the worst. And that was the only time I really got a lot of reflux. Was there any food that you...
Honestly, when I overate, it was noticeable.
So too much food on the tummy.
Yeah, I like food.
So what did you do about it? Did you take medicines?
I was starting to pick up some pounds, and I was about 25 pounds heavier than what I am right now.
Dr. Doughboy.
And yes, and that actually was the thing that made me draw the line in the sand and said no more. And so I lost 25 pounds.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. And never had really any reflux problems after that.
Yeah. Long-term weight loss, big thing to help with reflux that's been proven over and over again. The second thing, but sometimes can be difficult, is raising the head of the bed while you're sleeping. So instead of sleeping flat, you're at more of a position like this, and you're using gravity in your favor to help bring down the acid and keeping it from rising up into the esophagus.
And I think it's worth noting, too, that elevating your head is a good way of treating this, but you don't want to do it with just a pillow under your neck or your shoulders, because that actually kinks the esophagus and actually can make it worse. Put the wedge under the mattress or get the whole head of the bed raised up with some blocks.
Well, I mentioned some of the foods that triggered reflux for me, but there's a whole bunch of other ones that can do it too. I know that citrus for a lot of people, like orange juice or lemonade, can do it. Alcohol is a big one, whether it's carbonated or not. An interesting one I found interesting, peppermint. Because I had a guy, I think I told you about it, down when I was in residency, and he came to me, and I saw him just eating peppermint after peppermint. And he was coming to me, he's like, my heartburn is really acting up. I said, how long have you been eating these peppermints? And he said, I've been eating them like this for a long time, and it's just getting worse. I keep trying to get them to soothe my tummy, but it wasn't working. It was actually making it worse. So once he gave up the peppermints, he got a lot better.
It's funny that the restaurants, whenever you stuff yourself at these restaurants and you're leaving, they have the big bag of peppermints you to grab on the way out to, I guess, freshen your breath. But watch out for those peppermints.
Maybe they also make Prilosec, and they just want you to get the extra money and
some stock in it.
Can you think of any other foods that tend to do it? I know The biggest one for my wife, because my wife has had some pretty intense reflux over the years, coffee. I think if people give up coffee, the coffee drinkers who have reflux, I've seen them get at least 50% better by that alone. Now, my wife gave up coffee short term, but she didn't want to give it up long term. So she did two things. She tried decaf, which helped some. But then when she switched to cold brew, that she actually brews herself cold, it has lower acid content and lower caffeine content. So that is what really did it. So now she can have coffee and rarely needs to take any medicine for her reflux.
Well, you're telling me stay away from fatty foods,
Fatty foods can do it.
spicy foods,
Spicy foods can do it. All these peppers. I think they're in the tomato family.
carbonated drinks,
Carbonated drink.
caffeine,
So don't eat anything except water and ice.
and then you'll lose weight, and then you won't have any more reflux.
But no, a lot of people, it's just one particular food that's the troublemaker for them. My wife, it was coffee. And after she got rid of that, it was, or at least the regular coffee, she was pretty golden on that.
So you might want to keep a little log.
Yeah.
Make a little list of these things, and when you eat them, check it off if you've had problems with them, and kind of see which one has the most checks, and that'll kind of teach you kind of what things you need to avoid.
It's also not always instant. For caffeine, sometimes the reflux doesn't come until much later in the day or even the next day.
And our joke video,
Oh, yes.
oh, that gave me some reflux. Not just from eating the
The bomb?
spicy bomb. But I don't think we can emphasize enough the importance of the weight loss.
Weight loss is big. A lot of people, too, can benefit, since you had it at night, just by increasing the time between dinner and bedtime. That allows your food to settle and be digested more and kind of decrease that pressure and let your sphincter go back to working properly.
How long can you stay on these medicines for reflux? Forever?
I think the important thing is that we control our reflux, because we don't want to get Barrett's esophagus and esophagitis and esophageal cancer. But there are some long-term complications from some of these medicines. They work so well at decreasing the acid, they can affect the absorption of certain nutrients in our body. Iron, magnesium, B12, which can eventually cause nerve and brain problems. So we don't want that. So it's better if you can treat it with diet and other lifestyle measures. That's the best way.
Yeah, and in addition to those, people that have been on long-term proton pump inhibitors, they also been seen to have higher hip fracture rates from osteoporosis, and also certain types of infections, like with a bacteria called C. diff, and also higher rates of community-acquired pneumonia. These medicines are safe, and if you need to be on them, that's fine, but you want to try to be on the lowest dose possible to control your symptoms.
Yeah, we've always talked about medicines and side effects versus working, and it's always a balance.
Lifestyle is often the best way to treat reflux. Click here and you can learn how to treat fatty liver naturally too.